Micah, chapter 1. The word of Jehovah that occurred to Micah of Moresheth in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, Hezekiah, kings of Judah, that he visioned concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Hear, O you peoples, all of you, pay attention, O earth, and what fills you, and let the sovereign Lord Jehovah serve against you as a witness, Jehovah from his holy temple. For look, Jehovah is going forth from his place, and he will certainly come down and tread upon earth's high places. And the mountains must melt under him, and the low plains themselves will split apart, like wax because of the fire, like waters being poured down a steep place. It is because of the revolt of Jacob that there is all this, even because of the sins of the house of Israel. What is the revolt of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what are the high places of Judah? Are they not Jerusalem? And I shall certainly make Samaria a heap of ruins of the field, the planting places of a vineyard. And I will pour down into the valley her stones, and her foundations I shall lay bare. And her graven images will all be crushed to pieces, and all the gifts made to her as her hire will be burned in the fire, and all her idols I shall make a desolate waste. For from the things given as the hire of a prostitute she collected them, and to the thing given as the hire of a prostitute they will return. On this account I will wail and howl. I will walk barefoot and naked. I shall make a wailing like the jackals, and a mourning like female ostriches. For the stroke upon her is unhealable, for it has come as far as Judah, the plague as far as the gate of my people, as far as Jerusalem. In Gath do not you men tell it out, positively do not weep. In the house of Aphrah wallow in the very dust. Make your way across, O inhabitress of Shapher, in shameful nudity. The inhabitress of Zaanan has not gone forth. The wailing of Beth Ezel will take from you people its standing place. For the inhabitress of Maroth has waited for good, but what is bad has come down from Jehovah to the gate of Jerusalem. Attach the chariot to the team of horses, O inhabitress of Lachish. The beginning of sin was what she was to the daughter of Zion, for in you the revolts of Israel have been found. Therefore you will give parting gifts to Moresheth Gath. The houses of Achzib were as something deceitful to the kings of Israel. The dispossessor I shall yet bring to you, O inhabitress of Mareshah, as far as Adullam the glory of Israel will come. Cause boldness, and shear your hair off, on account of your sons of exquisite delight. Broaden out your boldness like that of the eagle, because they have gone away from you into exile. Chapter 2. Woe to those who are scheming what is harmful, and to those practicing what is bad upon their beds. By the light of the morning they proceed to do it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they have desired fields and have seized them, also houses and have taken them. And they have defrauded an able-bodied man and his household, a man and his hereditary possession. Therefore this is what Jehovah has said. Here I am thinking up against this family a calamity, from which you people will not remove your necks, so that you will not walk haughtily, because it is a time of calamity. In that day one will raise up concerning you people a proverbial saying, and will certainly lament a lamentation, even a lamentation. One will have to say, We have positively been despoiled. The very portion of my people he alters. How he removes it from me. To the unfaithful one he apportions out our own fields. Therefore you will come to have no one casting out the cord by lot in the congregation of Jehovah. Do not you people let words drop. They let words drop. They will not let words drop concerning these things. Humiliations will not move away. Is it being said, O house of Jacob, has the Spirit of Jehovah become discontented, or are these his dealings? Do not my own words do good in the case of the one walking uprightly? And yesterday my own people proceeded to rise up as an outright enemy. From the front of a garment you men strip off the majestic ornament, from the ones passing by confidently, like those returning from war. The women of my people you drive out from the house in which a woman has exquisite delight. From off her children you take my splendor to time indefinite. Get up and go, because this is not a resting place. Because of the fact that she has become unclean, there is a wrecking, and the wrecking work is painful. If a man walking by wind and falsehood has told the lie, I shall let words drop to you concerning wine and concerning intoxicating liquor. He also will certainly become the one letting words drop for this people. I shall positively gather Jacob, all of you. I shall without fail collect the remaining ones of Israel together. In unity I shall set them like a flock in the pen, like a drove in the midst of its pasture. They will be noisy with men. The one making a breakthrough will certainly come up before them. They will actually break through, and they will pass through a gate, and they will go out by it, and their king will pass through before them, with Jehovah at the head of them. Chapter 3. And I proceeded to say, Hear, please, you heads of Jacob, and you commanders of the house of Israel. Is it not your business to know justice? You haters of what is good and lovers of badness, tearing off their skin from people, and their organism from off their bones. You, the ones who have also eaten the organism of my people, and have stripped their very skin from off them, and smashed to pieces their very bones, and crushed them to pieces like what is in a wide-mouthed pot, and like flesh in the midst of a cooking pot. At that time they will call to Jehovah for aid, but he will not answer them, and he will conceal his face from them in that time, according as they committed badness in their dealings. This is what Jehovah has said against the prophets that are causing my people to wander, that are biting with their teeth, and that actually call out, Peace! That when anyone does not put something into their mouths, also actually sanctify war against him. Therefore you men will have night, so that there will be no vision, and darkness you will have, so as not to practice divination. And the sun will certainly set upon the prophets, and the day must get dark upon them. And the visionaries will have to be ashamed, and the diviners will certainly be disappointed. And they will have to cover over the moustache, all of them, for there is no answer from God. And on the other hand, I myself have become full of power with the Spirit of Jehovah, and of justice and mightiness, in order to tell to Jacob his revolt, and to Israel his sin. Hear, please, this, you head ones of the house of Jacob, and you commanders of the house of Israel, the ones detesting justice, and the ones who make even everything that is straight crooked, building Zion with acts of bloodshed, and Jerusalem with unrighteousness. Her own head ones judge merely for a bribe, and her own priests instruct just for a price, and her own prophets practice divination simply for money. Yet upon Jehovah they keep supporting themselves, saying, Is not Jehovah in the midst of us? There will come upon us no calamity. Therefore, on account of you men, Zion will be plowed up as a mere field, and Jerusalem herself will become mere heaps of ruins, and the mountain of the house will be as the high places of a forest. Chapter 4. And it must occur in the final part of the days that the mountain of the house of Jehovah will become firmly established above the top of the mountains, and it will certainly be lifted up above the hills, and to it peoples must stream. And many nations will certainly go and say, Come, you people, and let us go up to the mountain of Jehovah, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will instruct us about his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion law will go forth, and the word of Jehovah out of Jerusalem. And he will certainly render judgment among many peoples, and set matters straight respecting mighty nations far away. And they will have to beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning shears. They will not lift up sword, nation against nation, neither will they learn war any more. And they will actually sit, each one under his vine and under his fig tree, and there will be no one making them tremble. For the very mouth of Jehovah of armies has spoken it. For all the peoples, for their part, will walk each one in the name of its God. But we, for our part, shall walk in the name of Jehovah our God, to time indefinite, even forever. In that day, is the utterance of Jehovah, I will gather her that was limping, and her that was dispersed I will collect together, even her whom I have treated badly. And I shall certainly make her that was limping a remnant, and her that was removed far off a mighty nation. And Jehovah will actually rule as king over them in Mount Zion, from now on and into time indefinite. And as for you, O tower of the drove, the mound of the daughter of Zion, as far as to you it will come, yes, the first dominion will certainly come, the kingdom belonging to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now why is it that you keep shouting loudly? Is there no king in you? Or has your own counselor perished, so that pangs like those of a woman giving birth have grabbed hold of you? Be in severe pains and burst forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman giving birth. For now you will go forth from a town, and you will have to reside in the field, and you will have to come as far as to Babylon. There you will be delivered. There Jehovah will buy you back out of the palm of your enemies. And now there will certainly be gathered against you many nations, those who are saying, Let her be polluted, and may our eyes look upon Zion. But as for them, they have not come to know the thoughts of Jehovah, and they have not come to understand his counsel, because he will certainly collect them together like a row of newly cut grain to the threshing floor. Get up and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for your horn I shall change into iron, and your hooves I shall change into copper, and you will certainly pulverize many peoples, and by a ban you will actually devote to Jehovah their unjust profit, and their resources to the true Lord of the whole earth. Chapter 5. At this time you make cuttings upon yourself, O daughter of an invasion. A siege he has laid against us. With the rod they will strike upon the cheek the judge of Israel. And you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, the one too little to get to be among the thousands of Judah, from you there will come out to me the one who is to become ruler in Israel, whose origin is from early times, from the days of time indefinite. Therefore he will give them up until the time that she who is giving birth actually gives birth, and the rest of his brothers will return to the sons of Israel. And he will certainly stand and do shepherding in the strength of Jehovah, in the superiority of the name of Jehovah his God, and they will certainly keep dwelling, for now he will be great as far as the ends of the earth. And this one must become peace. As for the Assyrian, when he comes into our land, and when he treads upon our dwelling towers, we shall also have to raise up against him 7 shepherds, yes, 8 dukes of mankind. And they will actually shepherd the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod in its entrances. And he will certainly bring about deliverance from the Assyrian when he comes into our land, and when he treads upon our territory. And the remaining ones of Jacob must become in the midst of many peoples like dew from Jehovah, like copious showers upon vegetation that does not hope for man or wait for the sons of earthling man. And the remaining ones of Jacob must become among the nations in the midst of many peoples, like a lion among the beasts of a forest, like a maned young lion among droves of sheep, which, when it actually passes through, certainly both tramples down and tears in pieces, and there is no deliverer. Your hand will be high above your adversaries, and all enemies of yours will be cut off. And it must occur in that day, is the utterance of Jehovah, that I will cut off your horses from the midst of you and destroy your chariots. And I will cut off the cities of your land, and tear down all your fortified places. And I will cut off sorceries out of your hand, and no practices of magic will you continue to have. And I will cut off your graven images, and your pillars from the midst of you, and you will no more bow down to the work of your hands. And I will uproot your sacred poles from the midst of you, and annihilate your cities. And in anger and in rage I will execute vengeance upon the nations that have not obeyed. Chapter 6. Hear, please, you people, what Jehovah is saying. Get up, conduct a legal case with the mountains, and may the hills hear your voice. Hear, O you mountains, the legal case of Jehovah, also you durable objects, you foundations of the earth. For Jehovah has a legal case with his people, and it is with Israel that he will argue. O my people, what have I done to you? And in what way have I tired you out? Testify against me. For I brought you up out of the land of Egypt, and from the house of slaves I redeemed you. And I proceeded to send before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember, please, what Balak the king of Moab counseled, and what Balaam the son of Beor answered him. From Shittim it was all the way to Gilgal, to the intent that the righteous acts of Jehovah might be known. With what shall I confront Jehovah? With what shall I bow myself to God on high? Shall I confront him with whole burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will Jehovah be pleased with thousands of rams, with tens of thousands of torrents of oil? Shall I give my firstborn son for my revolt, the fruitage of my belly for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O earthling man, what is good. And what is Jehovah asking back from you, but to exercise justice, and to love kindness, and to be modest in walking with your God? To the city the very voice of Jehovah calls out, and the person of practical wisdom will fear your name. Hear the rod and who it was that designated it, O you people. Do there yet exist in the house of a wicked one the treasures of wickedness, and the scrimped ephah measure that is denounced? Can I be morally clean with wicked scales and with a bag of deceptive stone weights? For her own rich men have become full of violence, and her own inhabitants have spoken falsehood, and their tongue is tricky in their mouth. And I also, for my part, shall certainly make you sick by striking you. There will be a desolating of you on account of your sins. You, for your part, will eat and not get satisfied, and your emptiness will be in the midst of you. And you will remove things, but you will not carry them safely away. And whatever you would carry away safely, I shall give to the sword itself. You, for your part, will sow seed, but you will not reap. You, for your part, will tread olives, but you will not grease yourself with oil. Also sweet wine, but you will not drink wine. And the statutes of Omri and all the work of the house of Ahab are observed. And you people walk in their counsels, to the end that I may make you an object of astonishment, and her inhabitants something to be whistled at, and the reproach of peoples you men will bear. Chapter 7. Too bad for me, for I have become like the gatherings of summer fruit, like the gleaning of a grape-gathering. There is no grape cluster to eat, no early fig that my soul would desire. The loyal one has perished from the earth, and among mankind there is no upright one. All of them for bloodshed they lie in wait. They hunt every one his own brother with a dragnet. Their hands are upon what is bad to do it well. The prince is asking for something, and the one who is judging does so for the reward. And the great one is speaking forth the craving of his soul, his very own, and they interweave it. Their best one is like a briar, their most upright one is worse than a thorn hedge. The day of your watchman, of your being given attention, must come. Now will occur the confounding of them. Do not put your faith in a companion. Do not put your trust in a confidential friend. From her who is lying in your bosom, guard the openings of your mouth. For a son is despising a father, a daughter is rising up against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his household. But as for me, it is for Jehovah that I shall keep on the lookout. I will show a waiting attitude for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me. Do not rejoice over me, O you woman enemy of mine. Although I have fallen, I shall certainly rise up. Although I dwell in the darkness, Jehovah will be a light to me. The raging of Jehovah I shall bear, for I have sinned against him, until he conducts my legal case and actually executes justice for me. He will bring me forth to the light. I shall look upon his righteousness. And my enemy will see, and shame will cover her, who was saying to me, Where is he, Jehovah your God? My own eyes will look upon her. Now she will become a place of trampling, like the mire of streets. The day for building your stone walls, at that day the decree will be far away. At that day, even all the way to you, they will come from Assyria and the cities of Egypt, and from Egypt even all the way to the river, and from sea to sea, and from mountain to the mountain. And the land must become a desolate waste, on account of its inhabitants, because of the fruit of their dealings. Shepherd your people with your staff, the flock of your inheritance, the one who was residing alone in a forest, in the midst of an orchard. Let them feed on Bashan and Gilead, as in the days of a long time ago. As in the days of your coming forth from the land of Egypt, I shall show him wonderful things. Nations will see and become ashamed of all their mightiness. They will put their hand upon their mouth. Their very ears will become deaf. They will lick up dust like the serpents. Like reptiles of the earth they will come in agitation out of their bulwarks. To Jehovah our God they will come quivering, and they will be afraid of you. Who is a God like you, one pardoning error and passing over transgression of the remnant of his inheritance? He will certainly not hold on to his anger forever, for he is delighting in loving kindness. He will again show us mercy. He will subject our errors. And you will throw into the depths of the sea all their sins. You will give the trueness given to Jacob, the loving kindness given to Abraham, which you swore to our forefathers from the days of long ago.